we'll talk about captain builds here. I have on the screen. You guys can go to if you want to see the actual stream. I'm
Where is it exactly? Because it's not in the admin chat.
about to post it. Give
Okay.
me 1 second. But yeah, I guess the build for the whole class is pretty standard. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
change a whole lot.
The only thing I would mention is that at the lower tiers, like 7 to 9 or so, expert loader is kind of useful. On Des Moines, I don't think it's necessary.
No.
But
Yeah.
on stuff like the Pensacola and New Orleans, it's amazing.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if it doesn't really scale, I mean, you could like use it for optional on that ship specifically. But when you get to later on, you would have to like respec it for better performance.
Yeah, but you only have to do one respec to the whole line, really.
So here I actually have my captain build up for Des Moines. Pretty standard build. It's showing now on the stream, so if you guys are now looking at it with the delay, this is pretty simple, basic random battle build. And I think all of you guys pretty much have the same captain build where you have priority target, expert marksman because the reload mod. It gets pretty slow, especially if you are forced to play in open water at all. You really want expert marksman. Adrenaline rush, pretty much the best tier 2 skill you can get in the game. And then demolition expert and superintendent and concealment expert and then AFT. And I guess the one thing too, people always ask what captain build should you use? I think all of these skills are really important, but I think if you want to go in order as you're grinding up the line, like priority target, adrenaline rush, I guess on expert marksman can make a case, but the lower tiers, they have so many guns, the turret rotation's not as noticeable. And then demolition expert, you don't really need superintendent until you get to tier 9. I'd say that's where it becomes the most handy. At tier 8 you do get the extra radar with the charge. However, I mean, I don't know, it doesn't seem like most games I use every single radar, especially at like tier 8. Maybe you guys feel differently?
No, I'd say superintendent's only essential at tier 9, which is the heal.
Yeah, tier 9 and 10 because you get the heal. You know, that's the real deal.
Yeah.
Also, Evil was asking if we're going to do a voice room. Probably not for now, right?
We can, if somebody wants to come in here and ask questions, we can just drag them in here and unmute them.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, yeah, I guess this is a pretty basic heavy cruiser build. Now that there's light cruisers, it's not like the end-all be-all cruiser captain.
Yeah, but I will say that this is the build that I use in my Des Moines, and I would highly recommend that. It's pretty good, helps a lot. Emphasizes pretty much all your strong points: adrenaline rush, expert marksman, so you can engage cruisers faster. Consumer expert is kind of like self-explanatory for any ship in the game.
Yeah, and
AFT saves lives.
Exactly, against
let's just go with it.
CVs. And yeah, again, I guess like the order of points, I'd recommend them. You again, guys, tell me if you feel differently. Is priority target, adrenaline rush, demolition expert, concealment expert, and then I'd probably even then do expert marksman because by then you're close to you're probably on the Pensacola, which could really use it. And then I'd go AFT and then superintendent. I guess
pretty much.
I guess it depends on how fast you level up to. Once you get to tier 9, you really want superintendent. So depending on where you're at, maybe a respec.
Yeah, if I got to tier 8 or so and I had 12 points, I'd probably get superintendent first because I'd get to tier 9 pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
AFT is nice, but it's far from essential.
Yeah, I'm thinking more
planes,
like...
Consumer expert is like really helpful, but AFT is really only when you get to the Des Moines, so you can emphasize your AA coverage.
True. Yeah, that's
Baltimore used to have really good AA as well, to be fair.
I mean, like, all American cruisers right now have really good AA ratings. It's just that, the Des Moines is the king, pretty much, of the American line until the Worcester comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Lobster, that's an excellent point. Like, I was kind of thinking in somebody who just started in U.S. cruisers, like, started the game, and they're not, like, leveling as fast as we do, or we either have free XP or, like, camos or flags that help our XP boost, or and on top of that premium time. Like a lot of people start off in the U.S. cruiser line, especially in the North American server.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure like the starters would be basically your rush to consumer expert, which will help you a lot. Priority Target, Adrenaline Rush or Expert Marksman, Demolition Expert, Consumer Expert. Those are the essential, pretty much for any cruiser in the game, pretty much, honestly.
I'd say the value of Priority Target is, like, it should almost be on every ship, just about. Like, just knowing, like, oh, hey, 12 people are targeting me, I'm doing something wrong, I need to get out, or, just even 3 people are targeting me.
I disagree with that, honestly. I don't use Priority Target on any of my battleships, and I never seem to have a problem with that. But I will say that Priority Target is a skill that really does a lot of the job for you. If you don't have Priority Target, you need to be very aware of the map.
Yeah.
I've definitely put Priority Target on any of my cruisers, because if you draw aggro to yourself on a cruiser, you need to angle, you need to do something quickly. If you draw aggro on a battleship, that's just life, pretty much.
Yep. So
you have the armor, angling, and the capacity to just shrug it off most of the times.
Yeah, I'm confident in saying that Priority Target is almost a must-have for a competitive cruiser player, because if you can't tell when you're being targeted or, God forbid, focused, then you're just those are the people who get triple citadel and get all their health taken away in one salvo because they didn't realize.
I guess the only cruiser that wouldn't need Priority Target would be the fucking Stalingrad. I'm sorry for swearing, but come on, 32mm bow. That thing is a bloody battleship. I guess that's the only cruiser who really would not necessarily need to have Priority Target.
Just as a counterpoint for why I think it's useful to have Priority Targeting on battleships is if you're being targeted by one person and you know who's shooting at you right now, then you can kind of tell that the people who have your broadside aren't going to be shooting at you. So it allows you to be a little bit more confident in angling against one target. You know who's aiming at you.
Pretty much all of that can be, compensated by having good map awareness. I played battleships a lot, so that's why I preferred having preventive maintenance so my guns don't get incapacitated and just spend all the other points elsewhere. But I would say that it's definitely something that you can choose with no, afterthought. If you find yourself more comfortable with Priority Target on a battleship, there is no shame whatsoever on using it.
Yeah.
I just don't really find it necessary after playing so many, thousands of matches with battleships.
I see Clayton's point where he's somebody who's, a really good map awareness, I think. You've played a ton of games. I think you're over 10,000 or close to it.
9,200-ish.
Yeah, you play carrier, and you play carrier pretty well, so I think your map awareness is, it's well above mine, at least, so I think that's, one thing to note, too. You have killer map awareness, and you could really not use that skill and go without it, then, if you're on that level.
All I have to say is that it's not necessarily a clear line. I'm not arguing for the sake of not using that.
Yeah.
Priority Target just helps you a lot on pretty much most ships.
Anyways,
that.
I guess we're went off on a tangent. So
yeah.
I put on here too. This is my typical upgrades for Des Moines. We'll kind of go over them in an order where I have main armaments modification 1, and again, this is pretty standard for most of the U.S. cruisers. Would you guys choose anything differently there?
Nope. All I would say right now is that due to the Halsey campaign being on full blow right now, I am preferring to use the third slot from left to right. Use the AA mod to extend your range.
Completely agreed.
Mostly because I'm sorry to interrupt you, but basically there's a lot of missions that pertain using USN American carriers.
No, you're right.
USN American carriers see a lot of AP bombs, and I think he's
just going to go down the list though and go page 1.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I had the aiming systems because we had set it up for clan battles practice, so I just switched it out. But no, you're absolutely right. In randoms, I typically run a modification because just in case you run into that, a CD or something.
I would rather prefer system modifications just because it makes your ship-to-ship combat a little bit more effective. It's just with the advent of so many midways due to the Halsey campaign that I've been seeing literally everywhere. Having that extra AA range when you're up against the horrifying AP bombs, it helps a lot. Because the Moines is exceedingly fragile against AP bombs.
So on the first slot, definitely the main weapons modification.
Yep.
The second
slot pretty much standard for any ship.
Des Moines should be surveillance radar if you have this module. You should
Otherwise,
have it in your Des Moines. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I would take damage control systems for fires. I don't
Pretty
really have my
much.
steering gears go out or engine go out.
Yeah,
Or
the Des
FAA
Moines,
if you have it.
yeah.
The Def AM
The Des
already.
Moines
I mean, I guess.
doesn't seem to favor losing one module over the other. Like, I don't notice losing if I play friendships, I lose my steering gear all the time.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
notice that with Des
that's very
Moines, so
true.
I would
That is
definitely
very
say damage control just to make yourself a bit more tanky overall.
But if you have it, radar mod 100% of the time.
Yeah,
Yes.
if you have one laying around and you don't have it in your Des Moines, you should go do it right now.
Priority is radar, defensive fire, and then damage control.
Yeah, and
Because 56 seconds of radar is
It's kind of dirty.
Yes.
and then the third slot, as we kind of just talked about, you can go aiming system modifications, especially
Yep,
for clan
alright.
battles. That should be what you have in there.
Yep.
Otherwise,
Since
you
no
can't go
carriers, no reason to.
I'm the kind of guy who would say err on the side of caution. And if you're playing in randoms, I would take AA guns over aiming system. Even if you only meet a carrier 1 every 3 games, I think having your AA in that battle is going to be far more worth it than having the aiming system there too.
Yeah, it just it helps you. It's more utility for your team. You help
Yeah.
cover
Yep.
your team with your extra AA. And
Yeah.
considering how, while we will get into the Des Moines gameplay style later on, due to the Des Moines tendency of staying behind islands and doing the things of the such, having a large AA bubble really helps your carrier out and generally, by definition, your team as well.
I mean,
Yeah.
they can drag the enemy aircraft over you.
And
They can basically
It's
use
mostly
you as
just
little
because you are
bubbles.
doing area of denial, honestly.
The no fun zone for
Yeah.
enemy
Oh,
carriers.
that's
Pretty much.
a good point.
From
Evil
going
just
against
put a message that they're talking about reducing radar time from the module, where it gives a 40% bonus. They're in testing to give it only a 20% bonus. So that's also something to note. I still think you should take it even with the 20% nerf.
Yep.
Because you will always have radar equipped. Like, you'll almost always find a time for it to be useful. Whereas defensive fire, will be useful 1 every 3 games.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yep.
No, on the fourth slot here, this one I've actually heard some debate on. I personally take steering gears in case I ever get forced out of hiding behind an island. I prefer it, but I have seen a lot of people do take propulsion.
I take propulsion on the Des Moines because you spend so much time. Des Moines or any other cruiser really that I feel like I'm going to be spending time stopping, starting, hanging around your islands. Like, I want to be able to get on my speed quickly without that hesitation.
Yeah.
Just it's important to remind everyone though that propulsion system mod 2, increases your acceleration forward. It doesn't increase your deceleration to slow down.
Exactly.
So it's not as useful as it sounds at first.
For when you're sitting still and then you get spotted.
Yeah, and
You need to get out of there.
I even say running propulsion for clan battles, because in clan battles, if you're in open water Des Moines, which we'll talk about a little bit later, you're almost never out in open water in clan battles. If I'm going to take my Des Moines into clan battles, I switch to propulsion, because you're just hiding behind a rock the whole time using radar and coordinating, and eventually when it's time to push out, you want to be able to move quickly. I don't know if you guys find anything different. Kaiser, I don't know what you use for clan battles. If you're there. Kaiser's not there. So yeah,
For
I
me,
recommend it.
I've always run rudder.
Even in clan battles?
Yep.
I much rather prefer the fourth slot to be the steering gears.
Yeah, me
Go for that.
definitely. I guess on the fifth slot, I don't think
It's
we're going to
not
see.
really a contest.
Yeah, concealment. I don't think anybody's going to have any different opinions on there.
Also, I think
If you
maybe we should just
use-
quickly mention.
Yeah, pretty much. If you use target acquisition system modification 1, no. No.
Yeah, this module right here is pretty much never useful.
You say that,
For any ship.
but it's always the battleship running it who catches my destroyer at 3 kilometers and I'm in proximity
Well,
spotted.
yeah, but that's because you paid.
But that's also one specific scenario that you run into.
Yeah,
every
that's
couple
pretty much the only
hundred
time it
battles.
Yeah.
I think
Also-
I think more often than not, it's the people running it who are getting the 3 kilometer proximity spotting, which I think is weird.
Yeah, I guess the nice thing would be for a battleship that is torpedoes, but I mean, still, just map awareness can really negate that. Again, I don't really want to turn this into a whole discussion about that module, but to be clear about the U.S. cruisers, concealment module just as it is in almost
Or you're
every
doing
other
it
class.
wrong.
Yeah,
Very much.
especially like right here, I'll go and look at the Des Moines detection radius is 10.6. Its radar range is 9.9. So
Tom asks, Tom asks, does TA stack with vigilance and hydro? I don't.
From what I remember, can you hover over TA for a second? I forgot about what its details entail.
I've heard that Vigilance. I've never actually tested it out or looked into it, but I've been told that Vigilance does stack. But I don't really want to have anybody take me on that. I've done no research on that.
Yeah,
I don't know if
that's what I've
anybody-
heard as well.
Yeah, sorry for the delay. I believe it does stack, yes, from what I remember.
So I guess,
However, even then,
Vigilance
Yeah.
and TA do stack with each other. Hydro does not because it's just a set detection range on torpedoes.
okay.
So vigilance in that TA module does, because they affect like your passive spotting range of torpedoes.
Huh.
Whereas
interesting.
hydro is you're putting out that little net around, basically that cone around you where you're going to find torpedoes coming at you.
Yeah. Either way, I don't think it's worth the downside of losing concealment. Concealment
Nope.
is king in this game, and unless they make a change, it's gonna be like that.
pretty much.
So
Yep.
the last module here is I'd say the most contestant module.
We have some debates on this.
I've seen it in our server. I've seen it in other servers. I guess I know Kaiser, Klein, and Lobster here all run reload, and I sometimes bounce back. It actually depends on the mood I'm in. Mostly, I do enjoy the reload module more. I guess before you guys get started on talking about that, the one thing I do really say about the range mod is, especially if you're a newer player to the Des Moines or you're not having that great map awareness, range mod really does help you. You can typically sit. I guess I don't really want to say sit further back, but you have more options of positioning. You shouldn't really be sitting too far back from the action in Des Moines. That's why I kind of like the argument for reload mod that if you're not within 15.6 I think, or 15.8?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, if you're not within
15.8.
Yeah, 15.8. So if you're not within 15.8 of an enemy, you haven't positioned very well. And I typically like that, but for people who don't have that hyper aware positioning, definitely take range. And also some maps you really do get screwed on. Where if you take reload, the only really close spots to the action are wide in the open, and then you have to engage what is comically called the Chad Des Moines. But again, we'll talk about that a little bit more. You guys can talk about your bonus to the reload.
Well, real quick, I just want to say that I think more than most modules, this one comes down to personal choice. I can't honestly. I've used them both, and I can't say that like I did more damage with reload or more damage with range. I myself find it more comfortable to engage targets at that 15.8 kilometer range than trying to push it to what's the top range with the module? It's like 17.
It's 18.4 with the range.
18.4.
And again,
I find anything above 16K in a Des Moines, unless they're traveling in a straight line with zero thought to the fact that they're under fire, I find those shots hard to land consistently. And I choose the extra DPM over that range, but I really think it comes down to what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, and I guess too, the one thing we should really state for anybody who doesn't know these numbers off the top of their head, with the range mod, your reload is 5.5 seconds. With the reload mod, it brings your reload down to 4.8 seconds. So I mean, there's definitely a bonus, and you do notice it whenever you're in those close-in battles. However, it's not like a massive buff that you could not ignore.
So
that's from what I know. And that's basically 1.6 more shells per minute. Your DPM with the range mod is 10.9, while your DPM with the reload mod is 12.5
And also,
shells
too,
per minute.
I want to state that, I mean, as you can see here, I got on the screen, it also reduces your turret traverse speed. So your turrets will turn slower. That's one of the downsides to taking that module with any ship.
I will say, however, to contradict that, is that the Des Moines playstyle generally does not entail reacting to sudden threats or turning the ship around in any way.
Mm-hmm.
You're generally playing your ship static or behind an island or using cover, so you know where the enemy is going to come, and you're not trying to dodge and weave shells, which requires good turret turning radius.
Yeah.
So honestly, while that is indeed a downside by all means, it's not one that affects you in most situations.
So I guess I don't know if you guys want to talk more about the reload mod, why you like it more. Obviously,
I might jump in here.
Yeah, go for it.
So, first of all, one argument that you often hear coming from people like Flamu is that you don't need the reload mod because your reload's already really good. That's not the point of the reload. The reload is just to increase your DPM, which isn't about convenience of fast reload. And then also, reload mod mostly benefits, at least in my opinion, HE fire. When you're spamming a battleship, you're going to be getting more fires per minute, and you're going to be able to break their damage con quicker with reload. With AP, I mean, your DPMs is very high, and you're probably going to be killing people in a few salvos anyway, so it's not as effective there. It's mostly, for me, either HE spamming battleships at range, or getting a few more salvos onto a destroyer with your radar, which is nice. Or, those are the main effects. Or AP spamming the side of a battleship. You'll actually be firing quite a bit when you do that. And then you're also going to, when we show the replay, you'll see how I position extremely aggressively when I use reload mod. That's not at all comfortable for a lot of people, and you can easily get yourself destroyed in seconds in a Des Moines that way. So again, as Progressy said, if you're new to the ship, you should probably run range first. I did as well, and that's how I learned the Des Moines. And then while we're on the subject, I think we should also just mention that the Legendaries module that's currently on the super test right now, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's supposed to be replacing the reload or range mod. I would not run it ever in the current state. It, I think, gives you better rudder shift and some other small survivability things in exchange for not being able to mount that extra DPM. And also,
range,
I think it has a debuff to your radar duration as well. So it's a terrible mod right now.
Yeah.
It's really
obviously, that's in testing right now, so who knows what it'll actually end up being. But I tend to agree right off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm going to pretty much talk on the same point, because I also much rather use reload mod than range mod. One of the things about range mod is that anyone who's played, the current state of the Baltimore, the Buffalo, or one of these ships, or maybe even the Des Moines themselves, can understand that American shells are rather slow to hit their targets. They take a while until they land on the predicted location. You have to give a lot of lead for any moving target. And especially if you try using range mod on the Des Moines, you're going to realize that firing past those original 15.8 kilometer range is going to make your shells be exceedingly easy to dodge. While it does make the Des Moines a lot more flexible, and which is why, if you're, in favor of matchup on, for example, a situation like Clan Wars, and maybe even Kings of the Sea, for all that matter, it could be quite useful, just because, again, it makes the Des Moines more flexible. There are a lot of maps in which the Des Moines does not have a good time. The Des Moines requires covers and lots of islands to be able to perform to its full potential. And if you don't have that, you're going to be very uncomfortable throughout a good part of the game until you can find yourself a nice little island to hump on.
Yeah, and I think what people are saying in chat, and this is the argument I've heard from Kaiser a lot, and then also from a lot of other people, is your spotting range then increases. That's definitely something you want to mention. Like if you're firing from behind an island, you're running the range mod, your now detectability range is 18.4. So if there's a destroyer that's snuck to the back of the map, and you were previously blind firing behind an island, which is a Des Moines' dream, you're now going to be spotted from a higher range. In that, I guess I'm talking about a hyper-specific scenario, but it really does matter. And situations like that definitely do come up.
I'm going to tell you that generally you do have a good point. You can be spotted from that. However, the Des Moines has really good arcs for the whole purpose of standing behind an island. And when you do that, you have generally direct cover against any battleships. And unless they are at long ranges of 18 kilometers and above or something like that, the battleship's arcs are generally a little bit too flat to be able to loop their shells over the islands you're probably taking advantage of.
Yeah.
As long as they can, as long as they're a bit taller than your ship, you can loop shells over to them, and they will not be able to loop shells over to you.
Yeah, I guess that's
So
more
that
in
is
my
quite
specific
minimalized.
scenario that I made up. But I mean, it also does factor in like if you're doing open water Des Moines too, and you're forced into a position where you have to be open water, or maybe you're one of those people that prefers that. It does actually matter. I've heard what some people do if they know there's one ship on a flank that they're firing at, they'll kind of engage them close to max range. That way, if they realize, oh, hey, we need to disengage, they can quickly do it. Like, say they engage them at, like, 14.5 to 15 kilometers, and they can quickly turn out and disengage and go unspotted and not have to wait the time for your, was it 30 seconds for your after a turret is fired?
20 seconds.
20 seconds. So that's one argument I've heard. And again, that's a specific scenario, but it does definitely factor in. I guess here, do you guys have anything else you want to add about the reload mod versus range mod?
Nah, not really.
So the other thing next on our topic is map positioning. Des Moines in just about every U.S. cruiser really benefits from map positioning. Oh, you know what? We almost forgot about light cruiser captains before we move to that. Here I'll bring up my Cleveland captain, which isn't complete, but this will be my Worcester captain, or however you want to pronounce it. And once I get to 19 points, I'm gonna add once it gets 2 more points, I'm gonna take superintendent. Right now, as I was saying earlier, because it's tier 8, I don't really feel the need to have superintendent. But you definitely want concealment expert, and you definitely want IFHE. So in a way, Cleveland and most of the light cruisers will really kind of almost need a 14-point captain, which is really demanding.
Pretty much.
I don't know, one of you guys want to talk more about the numbers of adding in IFHE? Does it, what was the deck armor amount it allows you to penetrate? Was 32 millimeters?
Yeah, it's 32 millimeters, which is really relevant for all tier 8 plus battleships primarily.
Yeah.
Be aware that there are quite a few battleships with greater than 32 millimeter armor on their decks, particularly. Like GK, I think, has a lot of 50 millimeter plating. Montana, I think, has 50 millimeter plating or 38 millimeter plating. So IFHE is less effective against some very high tier ships, but it's still basically essential for any 6-inch gun cruiser.
I agree.
Yeah, and
I mean, IFHE, you really need that, so you can
get
actually consistent amounts of damage, not only to battleships but to cruisers as well. Because since your rifles are going to be 152 millimeters in caliber, you really do benefit from them having IFHE when you are attacking another cruiser, for example. Because if he's farther away than, I don't know, like 9 kilometers and 9.5 kilometers, your AP is not going to citadel, much less do consistent amount of penetration damage.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, IFHE is massively useful for 152 millimeter guns because you go from, I think, because 152 divided by 6 is like 25.2 or something, which I think rounds down to 25. And then HE pen means that can only penetrate 24 millimeters or greater, I think. And then when you add that 30%, you can now penetrate 25 millimeters, which is relevant for tier 7 battleships and lots of cruisers, most of the high tier cruisers. And you can penetrate 27, which is Des Moines and Hindenburg get that kind of armor. And then you can also penetrate 32.
So it just helps everyone.
Much. You'll do a lot more damage with it.
Akizuki players will be very familiar with this feeling of powerlessness if you don't have IFHE.
So I guess as I said, once I get one more point to my captain, I'll get superintendent. Then my next 2 points, I'll be getting expert marksman. And I guess I have heard the argument where, at least on Cleveland, people really want expert marksman over adrenaline rush. I feel like the turret traverse is actually fine. It doesn't really bother me. I don't know. I've never been in too many situations where I feel like that would have really saved me. Adrenaline Rush is pretty much useful on any ship, especially if you take a lot of damage. It allows you to just deal out damage faster, especially on a cruiser that can get behind a good island and fire over that island undetected. It could really, really, really help you. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the basics of that captain. I guess real quick we can talk about Atlanta, since that's it is my favorite ship. Here's my Atlanta captain. This is a pretty standard Atlanta captain build. The general things I like to, I guess that kind of differs it from a normal build is I take basic firing training because it reduces my reload a little bit. I've done both, and I really like the basic firing training when I'm in heavy destroyer metas. There's a lot of destroyers that quick reload will really make a difference. I know a lot of other people like to run Demolition Expert instead, and it's a very good choice still. I won't deny that it's a good choice. I just prefer BFT. I don't know if you guys pretty much feel the same.
Yeah, Demolition Expert is going to make you better for fighting battleships, particularly the high tier ones that you can't penetrate with your IFHE guns except in the superstructure.
Good point. Yeah.
So it's better for damage padding, but much less useful against destroyers and cruisers. And then also, can I just mention on the subject of the light cruiser builds?
Yep.
Another popular build, I think, is probably going to be to get basically the same build as Grusky's got for his Atlanta captain, except just would swatch BFT for superintendent, because
Yes.
Worcester's got incredibly good AA, and it's also got very good turret traverse, so expert marks would not be as necessary.
I would like to say that that is basically the current build that I have for my Cleveland captain. It's the same as what Grusky has. I just have superintendent instead of BFT.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
is the choice that I have made. Because that's my own personal choice, because I very much like making ships AA spec if they have the opportunity to do so without having too many downsides.
Yeah, that's something I forgot to mention with my Cleveland captain that's going to be in my Worcester is AFT. I probably actually will skip Expert Marksman then. I wasn't thinking about that when I mentioned that. AFT will be really useful on Worcester. I'm glad you guys.
Yeah, it's just that
reminded me.
once you get to it's kind of like the relationship that I have with my current Minotaur. My Minotaur captain has expert marksman, but that's not because the Minotaur by no means needs expert marksman. But once you hit the local wall, that is the Neptune, and it's very slow turret traverse, it just made me want to get expert marksman, and that's kind of like the Cleveland turrets turn fine. But I'll just prefer to use expert marksman at the moment. But now that I think about it, later on, when you get to the Worcester, they really will not need expert marksman. So I would definitely go with Adrenaline Rush.
And at least Cleveland, the modules are basically the same. I've actually been taking aiming systems modification instead of AA, but AA is definitely a good choice. I haven't played my Cleveland. Actually, I did play it, but I hadn't been running into CVs, so I switched it back. Definitely the AA guns modification is probably the correct choice overall. You really want that.
Yeah, right now I still use aiming system modification just because your long-ranged AA guns is just that the Des Moines has all of its AA guns at 7.2 kilometers. It has a very, very low DPM at short range, and all of its long-ranged AA is on the 5-kilometer bracket. And with AFT and the AA mod, you can pump it up to 7.2 kilometers. And it's because of that I use AFT and the AA mod. On the Cleveland itself, your AA guns that do reach 7.2 kilometers are only the 152s. And while they do damage, they're not really the bulk of it by any means. And I just would much rather prefer having aiming systems mod to more reliable hit targets.
Yeah.
Instead of vaguely being a threat to the enemy at that level.
But that's all down to preference too.
Also, Evil was just bringing up in chat that we should probably mention a bit about armor overmatch from battleships quickly.
Sure, go for it.
So most of the cruisers in the line, I can't remember where the crossover is. I think it's either Baltimore or Buffalo. It switches from 25mm bow armor to 27mm bow armor. But 25mm armor can be overmatched by guns up to 14 inches, which is 356mm. 27mm bow armor is immune to guns smaller than 15 inch or 15 inches or smaller. So that means all the German battleships, all the French battleships other than the Tier 10 can no longer overmatch ships like the Des Moines, which is something you need to be aware of.
Yeah, very good point. On a more aesthetic note, I just realized Cleveland has the shell catching baskets that Des Moines does.
It was a very modern ship when it was launched.
Yeah, and then I stick with steering gear, and I think on Worcester and what's the other Tier 9, Seattle?
Seattle.
I'll probably take reload mod as well, just to have faster reloading guns at that range. The range benefit. I mean, the arcs are going to be, I don't know, kind of horrendous, and the shells are going to be really slow that it's going to be hard to reliably hit. So I'll probably be sticking with reload.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, you know what? That's something we missed about Des Moines is consumables. I run premium everything. I know they can get quite expensive. I think, I don't know, just having every possible premium consumable for the faster cooldown is very needed. If you get into a CV battle, you really want that defensive AA to pop up faster, and you also get an extra charge with them. That's definitely easily.
I will go that, I'm pretty sure if you were well off in terms of credits, you can definitely just use premium on everything, and that will objectively make your ship more efficient, just because you will have lower cooldowns on everything.
Yeah,
but if you don't have the option to, spend an extra 90k credits on every game, pretty much premium damage control module would be definitely help you quite a bit.
Yep.
That's
I think every ship in the game should be running that pretty much. You can get away with that on some of the lower tiers if you're just having some fun, but even then, I still think it's useful. And then any ship with premium heal or premium smoke, that has the ability to take smoke or heal, you should be running premium. And I still definitely think you should be running premium radar if you're in a radar ship.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the only ones you should sacrifice are potentially Def AA, but premium Def AA is basically the difference between being able to use it every time the CV strikes you, and be able to strike or defend every second strike.
Yeah.
And then Hydra you can also sacrifice, I guess. I wouldn't.
Yeah, Hydra I would probably.
Water plane and fighters, you can sacrifice those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's more occasional when you actually go and do the casual destroyer. With the enemy carrier being nigh on omnipresent in the map, having so much pressure, it's generally good to have that premium Def AA.
Yeah,
especially with AP bombs being cancer.
And to quickly touch on it too, like we've made the argument to people asking for help is I don't have enough credits. I want to save credits to not run premium consumables, so I don't run anything. And the kind of like the way we put it is having these premium damage control party means you can put out fires faster and more consistently, which means overall you take less damage, and that'll really help you. That's easily the difference between life and death. And same thing with heal, especially is the faster you will be able to heal, and the more having that extra charge will allow you to heal more health. And in turn, specifically at least with those two, the longer you live, the more impact you'll have on the game, meaning more likely you'll be able to win because you're alive. You might kill a ship that could decide the game, and sometimes just your presence being there means that the enemy knows, oh hey, I can't go over there because there's a ship there and they don't have as much ability. And
don't forget that at tier 10 your running costs are like 200,000 base for a ship, I think. Your repair costs, so 45,000 for 2 consumables that need to be premium, and a camo for another 20,000 or so isn't a big deal.
Yeah, and
it's a 25% increase, pretty much.
And premium radar, otherwise you'll be running with 3 charges. And then what is the cooldown with premium, with non-premium? Doesn't actually say, does it? Oh no, it's 120 seconds with the premium, and it's 180 with the normal. And of course, then you have to bring up the whole spottering aircraft on Des Moines. It's kind of a joke made up by Euro. It can be fun, but it's not really anything you want to.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's not something you want to be doing. You don't want to sacrifice radar for that plane.
Yeah, I remember you were later on in another video saying I did that as a joke. Don't do it. Don't do that.
Gresky, do you want to briefly address signals while we're on the subject?
Yeah.
Also, with all the U.S. cruisers, you should be running camo because it gets your radar range that much closer to your detection range.
Yeah, you should buy at least. Like I have the premium camo for Des Moines. If I didn't, at the very least, I would have to run the Type 1 camo because it gives you the concealment buff. You would at least need that. Again, if you're really short on credits, you're trying to save some, you could get by in just that. I really recommend at least the Type 5 camo right here. It's 22,500. That reduces the dispersion of enemy shells fired at your ship. It increases the dispersion of shells fired at your ship, and it's definitely useful, especially for clan battles. If you're taking the Des Moines into clan battles, you need at least these two buffs. Anything else is, I've seen people take like credit boosting camos into like clan battles or competitive, which again, like this is fine. Like I have like the French camo here, gives you a 30% bonus to credits and 75% to XP. That'd be just fine. Just those two buffs to dispersion of shells fired at your ships and concealment is needed
for peak performance.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of general stuff about captain builds. You guys have anything on that before we switch to positioning?
Signals?
Yeah, signals. Sorry. Typically, you can go ahead on this, Lobster.
Sure. Do you want to flip to your signals tab?
Yep, I'm there.
I would, for regular, just running my Des Moines normally, I would usually run the Witherer Fire Chance flag because those are relatively easy to get. I'll also run the heal percentage flag because any ship with a heal should be running that. It's easy enough to get dreadnoughts. I usually run the speed and the consumables one as well if I have enough. They're really nice, particularly on a ship with so many consumables like the Des Moines. Other ones that are useful, the AA one, if you plan on fighting with a carrier, I'd run that. And then if you have tons of them, the fire reduction and the arsonist fire chance flag are also nice to have.
Fire reduction, I would say something rather secondary.
Yeah, it's a secondary one. It's a luxury.
You don't generally get HG spammed. Your main targets tend to be Battleship AP.
Yeah,
you're talking about India Yankee, the 20
yes,
minus 20. Yeah. Okay.
But then now, if we're going into Clan Wars, I would drop the AA DPS flag and definitely put the Detonation flag on.
Yep.
And then you could even consider, if you have lots of them, the ramming flag's not terrible in Clan Wars.
No, come on, Lobster.
I mean, at that point, what else would you take the flooding recovering time? Other than
flooding recovery time is never useful.
No.
The free XP one is actually kind of nice if you feel like farming free XP in Clan Wars.
Yeah, you definitely get good economic benefits that way. But if you're going full combat, which typically you take in Clan Wars, then yeah, I'd say either the ramming flag or on the off chance you get flooded and don't have a damage control party, I'd say then the flooding recovery right after that.
I'd have to check the math, but I'm pretty sure even if you just use your DCP, with the minus 20% flooding duration is actually not enough unless you're running like DOS and the damage control mod. Pretty sure. Because our base flood's like 2 minutes.
Is it? I actually don't remember.
I just remember that you die if you don't repair it.
Yeah. I guess before we move on to map positioning, then I think we can change something in order that we wrote it down on our list. Is the quote-unquote Chad Des Moines that a lot of people like to refer to it, and it can be quite fun to run, and it's actually not too far off for your clan battles build, except I don't know, it depends on how you want to do it, but the Chad Des Moines is where you take Hydro instead of Def AA, at least depending on the current meta on the server. At least on North America, there's not always like a big CV population, although now I'm highly against this personally. Isn't taking Hydro just because there's been so many CVs lately. I can't really advise somebody not to take Def AA. It's definitely worth taking Def AA. But the whole point of the Chad Des Moines is to have maximum DPM, so how much damage you can output, and then you would take Hydro to either spot torpedoes or spot destroyers close by hiding in smoke. Again, it's a situational thing. That's why I think Def AA is really more valuable overall. And then you would also Lobster, you can tell me on this one too. I believe you're supposed to take survivability expert as well
Yeah,
instead
you're
of
supposed
AFT.
Survivability expert and preventative maintenance if you're going for the full build, but currently I'm actually running AFT because I'm casual right now.
And survivability expert could also be better for clan battles because AFT is not really
Absolutely
necessary.
useless.
Yeah. What's the other one you could take? Is basics of survivability.
Yeah, you can also
For
take DOS
clan
or
battles.
vigilance.
Yeah.
Or vigilance.
You're generally not even HE spam to begin with, so basically.
Yeah, I'd go with SE.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? 350 health per tier. So.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason you would want to take AFT for clan battles if you really hate spotter planes, because your air detectability is 7.8 and your max AA range is 7.2. So if you really want to get rid of planes spotting you, there's a slight reason to take it, but I think generally just the advantages you get from
I don't
gaming
even believe
systems.
that's a reasonable reason to have, honestly.
I mean, if you're hiding behind an island and there's a plane constantly spotting you, it definitely.
I mean, it is
would be
frustrating, but you're spending 4 very precious points.
I know that's what I'm
on
saying.
that
It's
alone.
not worth it, but there is a really niche scenario that it would be worth it.
And also you'd have to sacrifice enemy system mod 1, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, for clan battles, there's no big reason to take that.
Yep.
Okay, so again, that's you might hear it called the Chad Des Moines in like forums or Reddit or something. That's basically what it is. It's just like the ultimate kick-ass Des Moines, but it's also highly situational and requires a high level of skill. So unless you're a Unicum player on the Des Moines, which I'm personally not, you really shouldn't be doing it. You need a high level of skill to do it and pull it off well.
In the replay, I think I'm running partial Chad Des Moines.
Yeah, so I guess let's talk about some map positioning, and then we can play that replay. I guess overall, we kind of hinted on it earlier, where depending on if you're using reload or range, it's a thing I like to go by, and plenty of other people have told me before I even said this, is if you're not within 15 kilometers or 15.8 kilometers of the battle to shoot at something, you're too far away, you're not making use of your radar, you're not far up enough, you're just hiding in the back too much. And generally I kind of agree with that once you kind of get a good feel for the ship. However, like the whole island camping Des Moines thing that I'm quickly learning is people know how to quickly counter that in simply changing their position. And you have to be hyper vigilant if you're just staying behind one island. Like, say you got a good spot on an island, you have to be very careful, because if you're in a really effective spot, you're farming damage off their ships. If the enemy team's paying attention to the game, they're going to realize they have to take you out, and they're either going to push fully at you with their full force of the team, or they're going to flank you. In either scenario, you have to see that coming before it actually happens, and either get out of there or try to get your team to move around, which typically isn't always going to happen on a randoms.
I'm gonna say like a good part of Des Moines, of being a good Des Moines player overall, is like the majority of it is honestly map awareness. You have to be very aware of your surroundings, what the enemy team is doing, and where you can position yourself to have the most amount of damage, to have the most amount of bang for your buck. Where you should position yourself. Is this position too aggressive? Is it too safe? What is my team going to do in the next following 2 minutes? Are they going to run away from here? Should I retreat as well? Because if you play an island hopper ship, such as the Des Moines, and that's kind of a problem. Because if the enemy team gets too close to you, you're generally stuck. You can't move away. And that's why you need to have good map awareness, because if your position gets overrun and your team starts falling back and you don't have enough map awareness, you're too comfortable behind an island to realize that you're stuck. And it's only a matter of time before a battleship or something comes around the corner and kills you.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Honestly, the one thing that the Des Moines has that makes a lot of people, that gives people a lot of problems, is just the fact that it relies so much on island hopping. It relies so much on staying behind islands and then moving to other islands to do your job. That's basically the Des Moines gameplay style on most of the times. And to be able to know which island is good and which island is bad, you need to have a lot of map knowledge, which only comes through playing games over and over and over again, pretty much. You can kind of study that or, learn it by having other people teach it to you, but it's generally something that you kind of have to go and see for yourself to see which shells you can loop shells over, which shells give you enough cover, which shells are...
You mean islands?
I'm sorry, islands, yes. Well, which islands give you enough cover, which don't? Is this a good position? Is this a good position in this situation? And it goes on and on and on and on.
And anytime I pick an island that I'm gonna hide behind, I always think of, if I was on the enemy team and I wanted to get rid of this Des Moines, where would I go to flank them? Or what locations am I vulnerable from right now? And you have to watch the mini-map and see where the enemy team is going, and hopefully your destroyers are spotting them, and you're not going to get a surprise battleship that you're just broadside to. And again, you should really see that coming beforehand. Definitely making your mini-map as large as it possibly can by hitting the plus key until it covers almost half your screen is pretty useful. There's even some mods to make it even bigger than that. I think what the endgame have is mostly good enough for me. Maybe people that need that different, but
no, I say if you haven't bought another monitor just for your minimap, you're not doing it right. Come on.
Because that happened to me earlier in a game where I was on a flank. There was, 8 enemy ships coming towards us, and my initial thought was to face towards them and let them charge at me, and then I thought that's a horrible idea because these guys are going to break through. My allied ships are just going to turn kite away if they're smart. If they're just going to run into them, we're going to lose no matter what. So I just saw that was happening pretty early on, and I turned around and got out of there and went to different islands, like you had just said, island hopping. And you have to pay attention to that stuff before it happens, because if you look and realize, oh, I'm being targeted by 8 and they can all actually hit me, you're done. Des Moines' acceleration, even with propulsion mod, isn't that great. You're gonna be dead.
Indeed.
So go ahead.
Having good map awareness, being able to predict the outcome of battles or how the tide of the battle on your current location is going to change, and change positions accordingly, is your key to surviving in the Des Moines, and to a good part doing a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, and it all depends too on how good of how well you know the map, and how well you know generally how it's played, and how your map awareness too is getting in those positions that the enemy's not going to expect you. And if you can get a bunch of broadside cruisers or even battleships, like Des Moines AP to a broadside battleship can still do quite a bit of damage.
Indeed.
So just getting into those positions where maybe you're going to get a couple cruisers broadside, and looking for those those little flows of battle that you can move into.
Exactly. What I would like to emphasize is that one thing that generally happens whenever I have a good game in the Des Moines in general is a good, like, the first maybe 2/3 of the game, or half of the game, 50% or 2/3 of the game, I spend island hopping, pretty much taking advantage of islands and shooting over said islands to do a whole lot of damage. And once a good part of the enemy team has already died, or at least my situation has calmed down so much so I can control it, there are not like 3-4 battleships just duking it over each other, like 2-4 battleships from your team duking against another 2-4 battleships of the enemy team on the direct opposite side where you're on, and things have calmed down. Some of them have died. You can now control the situation more evenly, and that is when you can truly make your vulnerability shine, and you can actually move more aggressively and start engaging the enemy ships a lot more actively. Because the Des Moines does not do very well with battleships that have 16-inch guns and above. That's 406 millimeters. It's really pretty good against enemy cruisers, especially due to that super heavy American armor piercing. And so later on in the game, if you have saved up your HP on the early game, you can now use all that lovely HP pool and heal that you have to go out guns blazing, because your DPM is superb, and honestly, you can 1v1 most cruisers as long as they are within 14, 13 kilometers of you.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
as long as you're not kited away, you can just show your bow to them. They cannot do AP damage to you. You can do AP damage to them. And if anyone listening here has a Hindenburg, you probably know that Hindenburg versus Des Moines is not a very good matchup for the Hindi.
Close in, especially the Des Moines should win every time, unless the Des Moines lets the Hindenburg
Pretty
get
much.
close enough to use its torpedoes.
If the Hindenburg in question tries to fire all 4 of its guns, the Des Moines can get AP pens and maybe even a Citadel every time, just because of the American super heavies.
We have been focusing a lot on the Des Moines because it's kind of like the end all, be all the line. It's really worth the whole line grind. At least like on the lower tiers, like say Pensacola, or even Baltimore at tier 8, and then Buffalo at tier 9. The positioning isn't totally different. I feel like Des Moines now, at least for the heavy cruisers, is a little bit more. I don't know. It's a little bit different, more of a departure from the rest of the line for me personally. Like I play Pensacola sort of like I don't typically hide behind islands. I use the AP because its AP is pretty deadly. I almost treat it like when I say I treat it like a battleship, I don't actually mean like by tanking damage or anything like that. I treat it as where I want to be using primarily AP unless something's just bow in on me. But I don't kind of just pick one island in Pensacola and hide behind it. And you can wreck a lot of cruisers and do a lot of damage with AP in these lower cruisers. And I guess really quickly too, before we move off of the topic of other ships, is Buffalo. Maybe you guys feel differently. Buffalo is the one U.S. cruiser I actually mostly like range mod on.
I haven't played it.
Really?
Don't really
Yeah.
talk about it.
I prefer using reload mod on that, especially considering how its reload is, well, not that good compared to something like the Des Moines. It's 12 seconds or something base, I believe.
Let's see.
Very good for me.
I think you're right. Go over, switch to the monitor. Yeah, 13 seconds base. And then,
that's quite painful.
My
friend.
one reasoning behind it is I've been switching back and forth, and the one big thing I can say for range mod is you have 12 guns. To use that, like even with reload mod, your DPM isn't that stellar that you're not going to be wanting to go bow in. This is definitely a ship that I would like to find an island and hide behind, but not all. You can't find that all the time. And at tier 10, the maps are a bit bigger. So I've been liking range mod because I want to try to get all 12 guns on, because the DPM isn't that amazing to just go bow into something. Or, if you can find an island that's great and hide behind it, then take it. But I've kind of been playing it a little bit open water. And again, you can really argue that is wrong.
All right. What I have to say about that is, you do have right. The Pensacola is. I would highly recommend you to play the Pensacola on the open waters, since it has pretty underpowered armor and really good guns. So you can use those guns to maximum effectiveness and dodge and weave the enemy shells and not try to absorb them, which is generally what the Des Moines does. However, the American Des Moines-ish gameplay style only really starts once you get the American super heavy shells at the tier 8 Baltimore at the moment. So tier 8 Baltimore, tier 9 Buffalo, and tier 10 Des Moines can play very similar to one another, and generally are played very similar to one another. Because when you get to the American super heavy AP shells, and pretty much the shells in general, you can loop them over the islands, since the arc changes quite a bit. Your shells are not as much don't have as much as a flat arc as you had, for example, the Pensacola. On the whole Buffalo situation, I would still highly recommend the PM module, because you have 12 guns, and I would say the Buffalo has the best broadside out of any tier 9. And you do have 12 guns, and honestly, like every single second that you can reduce by having the DPM module enables you to fire 12 guns faster. And that's 12 more shells for however many seconds I can calculate that.
I definitely agree with you on the DPM aspect, but the way I was thinking of is that you have to turn 12 guns broadside, or you have to give a fairly good angle to shoot all 12 guns, and that's why I was liking range, because you could be a little bit farther back. And I'm not saying you should be sitting at 18 kilometers firing, but you could be sitting at maybe 16, 16 and a half, and then you could have more of a chance to turn away from incoming shells. That's my philosophy.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. I've been trying out both of them, but I definitely am not like rightfully saying no to the range mod.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, again, it is a choice that you can make, but especially considering how the American super heavy shells, again, have such a long time to reach their targets on the longer ranges, it doesn't really help that much. And being broadside to an island is not an inherently bad thing either. So you can fire your 12 guns from behind an island, for example. It's basically what the Atlanta does, pretty much. And if anyone has an Atlanta, you can be very familiar that you can be behind islands, as long as you stay close enough so that you aren't at risk of receiving any returning fire from that. You're gonna be quite alright. I would say the Buffalo, however, even without range mod, has a good gameplay style, and it can fairly evenly handle itself on open water with not too much of a problem, honestly.
Yeah.
I generally just play it like a Zal. I just play it like a Zal with less range, and you can do quite fine by just playing it on open water if that's what you want, especially since you have a heal at tier 9.
Yeah, Ivan, you're here now. I don't know if you want to chime in on anything we've maybe said wrongly, or...
You should probably try to unmute him, by the way.
I think he muted himself. He's unmuted.
Okay, right.
If you can't talk, let us know. But feel free to chime in whenever you want to. I guess I totally see your point, and I think Reload is still really good, but it's the one ship where you can make the argument to me, too, next to Des Moines. Those two I could definitely see. Maybe it's my personal map awareness isn't good enough, but I have been liking the range mod a little bit more.
That's fine. It's just that 13 seconds of reload time for a cruiser
It's brutal.
It's brutal. It's painful. And anything that I can do to try to amend that really does help a lot. Also in terms of DPM, and also in terms of being able to take advantage of opportunities that enemy cruisers present themselves to you when they're trying to turn broadside and etc. Having a good reload time enables you to take more opportunities that you see on the random battlefields of the day.
Yeah, I definitely loved it in a Cyclone. You definitely want the reload mod. Just pairing that with radar. Going in, I was able to catch in a bunch of cruisers broadside, and I would not have been able to take, I think it was 2 I took down without reload mod. So it's definitely, I don't know, I think it's one you can make an argument for. But, again, if I'm wrong, that's cool.
All right.
There you are.
I'm here.
So yeah, I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit more about map positioning or just captain builds in general. Seeing as I think are you number 1 or you're close to it?
Yeah, I hold it right now.
Awesome. So I guess what do you look for in positioning when you're playing Des Moines? Yes.
If I'm playing just randoms, I'll always put myself in the best spot to deny a flank completely, like either with one ally or 2 allies. Basically create an imbalance where, you know how randoms are. Like if you don't give them a massive advantage, they won't do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I will almost every game I will take the weaker side and hold it against the stronger enemy push for as long as I can, or until we break the other side.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
You'll find me often near edges, on where I can use that 1 or 2 allies that came along with me as an extra angle to abuse, because most people as you said earlier, don't really expect a Des Moines to sit like on the edge of the map or closer to an edge.
Yeah, I think you, Ivan. I guess I should introduce you a little bit. This is Ivan. Your in-game name is, am I saying it right? Mechanocs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've mentioned before you definitely take reload mod. Is that correct? Or am I getting that wrong?
Yeah.
And I think it was you who also said that you like to fight close to your max range with it, so you can disengage really easily. I mean, again, it depends on the situation.
Not my max range, but like, you mean close to concealment range?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I tend to do that in all cruisers that have a very good stealth, so it applies for the Zao too.
Okay. I don't know if you have anything you wanted to change differently, or if you heard everything we said about our captain builds. I don't know if you have any different arguments for those.
For a playstyle specific thing, I'd say is like, don't be inflexible. Like, as you probably know, like one of my clanmates pioneered this form of play, but he actually fell behind me in skill because he wasn't adaptable.
Gotcha. That's the Chad Des Moines you're talking about?
Yeah. So some games I will like accept my role as radar bot or, area denial by sitting myself next to an island. Like if I have to.
Whatever wins the game.
Yeah. But even then, like I usually don't do that because randoms all. So
yeah, you can't control your teammates. They're gonna do whatever.
I would only do that if I trust my team more for some reason.
Yeah. And it kind of like I don't know. We're gonna talk about Des Moines and clan battles in a little bit, but a lot of the time in clan battles, specifically Des Moines, sometimes just a radar bot and nothing more, depending on the game.
It's played more as an anchor. Like it is as a consequence of its playstyle, it is a radar bot, but I'd say it's better like described as an anchor. Because once you put a Des Moines in a spot, it's hard to remove.
Yeah, especially in clan battles, you'd have to you have to move to a certain position that.
Yeah, you have to get multiple angles and then slowly force it out, and you cannot send like one person to force an angle unless it's a battleship because it'll destroy it in the fight.
Yeah, good point. Des Moines is definitely a great defensive ship.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people truly do underestimate its offensive ability.
So I guess how would you describe how would you go on like the offensive then? Like would I know it all depends on your team, so each scenario is kind of hard to make up.
Let me think. So I'd play more aggressive if I on certain maps, like say for example, what's it called? Is it called Atlantic or? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'm actually pulling up a WoW's Tactics page right now.
All right.
Send you the link. And switch over to this. Here we go. So I pulled up a WoW's Tactics page on Atlantic.
All right. So for example, on Atlantic, let me ping it. So say we spawn here, right?
Yep.
Usually, I like to go like this in Des Moines because for some reason, like a lot of people think they're like, oh, I need B, right? I need to capture B or I need to go C, but they send or completely neglect A lot of the time. So I use that pattern and I just usually go here. And my team usually brings a destroyer with me, so he might be closer to there. And what my goal is to cross behind here and possibly shoot anything that's parked here. Or force battleships that are bow on here to deal with another angle like this. Because very often, battleship players, as they are kind of cowardly, they like to bunch up in this circle right here.
It
right?
happens all too often.
So
it's an interesting way to play it. Like, obviously, I'm not Super Unicum in my Des Moines or anything close to it, but I don't know, just a move like that would seem way too aggressive for me, because I would look at it like you don't, not necessarily each time, but again, depending on the situation, you're not going to do a whole lot of damage there if nobody goes to A. But actually what you were talking about is it forces that the battleships, like I'll just throw some battleship icons over here. Say there's some battleships here and here and here. By you going down here, it forces them to now think of targets from multiple directions, you know, from either here. Most of your team's going to be here, and they either have to turn to angle against them or then to angle against you, which you're now firing from here.
But to be honest, if it's only me over here, they shouldn't be scared. They should just keep focusing over here. I can't kill them like in under like 3 minutes. Like I can only take out one of them at a time. Like
you'll have to have teammates with you still.
Yeah, the reason why I do this is purely psychological. When I start introducing fire from a different side, like where they can't see, like, you know, like in their point of view, like usually their point of view is like this. Mm-hmm. So when they start seeing shells come in like this, they suddenly get scared and think they've been surrounded, and they start running. Or if they're not the cowardly type and they're the kind that, you know, they want to face their threat head on, they just turn like this without completely disregarding this angle.
And then they've turned broadside to where hopefully your allies are then.
Yeah, like, I know that our battleships tend to park here anyway, so I can give them a free shot anyway.
That's an excellent point of, I don't know, the whole, like, you're playing chess when you're playing warships, of it's more of a strategic game than anything else.
Well, yeah, like, a lot of, like, if you aren't as careful with playing the game, like most people, when you start receiving fire from outside of your point of view, you panic and you make a rash decision.
Yeah, excellent point. Let's see. Go on, officer.
So, Ivan, you'd stay in the open the entire way here? You wouldn't, like, through here ever?
No, I wouldn't go that close, because what if they have something parked right here and I don't know? Like, what if they have a battleship, like, hiding right here, and I pop around, like, 2 kilometers from them?
I mean, I guess I would usually have used my radar at least once when I had A, I guess.
And honestly, like, this to, like, their spawn area is too close anyway. You want to be, like, over here. Because, think about it. From here to here, it's a significantly smaller angle than from here to here. For them to rotate their guns all the way around, some people don't even bother, and other people just rotate their whole ship, which also creates this shot opportunity. Or they just run away, you know, up here.
Cool.
All right, so if you guys do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
No.
So we can load up Lobster's replay then?
Yes.
Do you guys want to watch it through the stream with a delay, or you guys want the actual to synchronize loading the file?
I don't think it matters that much in terms of the stream. As long as if you want to sync up or replays, that we can do that by voice. We don't really have to do so by stream.
Yeah, probably not a bad idea to sync it up. We could all just go to 0 and then start together.
Okay.
No.
Do you want the replay, Ivan?
I'll just watch it through the stream.
Okay.
Yeah, do you think you can do, if you can do the stream without a delay, we can all just watch it through the stream too?
There's no delay, but there's always naturally, like, a couple of second delay. I've made it
That's
so
fine.
It should be as close to no delay as possible. So give me 1 second, let me load up the file. So this is the Kraken one, right, Lobster?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, I gotta actually quit out of warships.
Yeah, I need to go and start it. Been doing this for like an hour and a half. My goodness.
Oh wow, we can talk a lot.
Yes.
More like we get off track at about 10 seconds each time.
Yep. So the replay is loading up for me, and then I believe you hit the end key deposit.
I don't think I want Ivan to see my Cleveland replay. That'll be embarrassing.
Clayton, I'm doing it. You have to do it too now.
What is this peer pressure? Oh my god.
Clayton, I die in my replay. Can't be more embarrassing than that.
Oh no,
Fair
I
enough.
see there's carriers. Are you running a Chad Des Moines in this?
Of course.
Oh my goodness.
There's only one true God.
I'm pretty sure my game was a loss, so. Alright, as soon as
Okay.
the timer goes down to 0, I'll pause it.
Okay. And you hit the end key to pause.
Yep.
Alright, my timer's on 0, so let me know when you guys are there.
I'm at 0.
I'm at 0.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, there we go.
So I guess, Slap, so you can talk about what you're doing here. We can, I'll hit the tab key so we can see what the lineup is. There's tier 9 carriers on each team, good amount of battleships, and a very small amount of destroyers. One destroyer, one DD each team. Both of them are Shimas. You have Conqueror, Yamato, Montana, Izumo, and Amagi on the other team, and 2 other Des Moines and a Minotaur.
So I guess inadvertently I'm kind of doing what Ivan was talking about here. I'm going to go to the weaker flank because our Shima is going to A. And my plan was basically to hopefully deny B and C with radar from either the island directly behind B, which is what I'm thinking of doing right now. But soon I change plans and I'm actually going to go to the island near C.
I found that island near B, the one that you were headed towards, to not be too great for me.
It's a risky one because it's small.
Yeah. Anybody
It's very
watching
tall.
the stream too, like, hit the plus key on your minimap to make it as big as mine. It's gonna really help. You can do a lot of things to make the water transparency and stuff change. But I just want to point that quick thing out so you can go back to talking.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's actually
I have
happened
one thing
first.
to add. If you're taking a weaker flank, you have to be able to leave immediately if you must. That's why if I take a weaker flank, I usually don't park somewhere. I'm always, somewhere pointed away and ready to leave immediately.
That's how I play
Only if you have a strong flank.
Yeah, I generally play my Atlantis similarly, where we talk about picking an island. I'll actually pick an island where I can run away. Like, I'll actually point towards where safety is going to be, or where I think safety will be, and that way I can quickly just get out. It's a little bit harder to do in Des Moines.
So immediately I'm seeing an opportunity here with the Des Moines because he's focusing on the St. Louis and pushing through C. So I'm getting my AP ready and I'm still unspotted.
All right.
Also, Ivan's not going to like this because I really do ram an island at one point. Just really try to camp. You'll notice I'm pushing the view up to see where the ship is behind the island. And he's turning broadside, and I wait. Pretty much perfect opportunity here.
And you were talking about tapping the M key quickly to peek over the island?
Yep.
It's hard to see sometimes on the replay.
Here you'll see I over angle a bit, or angle out too much, and I take a huge hit as well.
Enemy cruiser foundered.
I personally would have been already turned out because I still don't know what's behind the Des Moines, right?
Oh yeah, there's something behind the Des Moines.
Being turned in at this point might have been a huge mistake. If the battleship popped up something, probably
Or
would
St. Louis.
be dead. But it looks like he didn't have any support, so.
No, he did.
The Des Moines had
the
support. The
delay.
St. Louis Does not.
Well, he outran it. That's what I meant.
So right
Yeah,
here,
like
your choice is to either just park, because if you keep moving forward, then you're gonna be broadside to that Kronstadt and Missouri. Then.
yeah, just take the fight. This St. Louis can't beat you at
Yeah.
this range. But yeah, like, see what I mean? Like, if I was turned out, I wouldn't have taken so much damage, and then the St. Louis would be a free kill also.
Yeah.
So another thing to kind of point out, not directly to the tactics, is this is a Cyclone game. Cyclones are really actually good for Des Moines because of the radar. You can get that extra range with your radar.
I still don't think it's good, because if you don't have it up, like, then you're still as vulnerable as every other cruiser, where if a battleship pops up 8 kilometers, you're not.
Yeah, you don't have torpedoes to be able to serve as a good resort at close ranges if that it comes down to
Yeah,
that.
it's not worth it.
Anyway, so at this stage, I've basically taken this flank, so I'm capping C, but I'm about to be pushed by Montana, Missouri, and Kronstadt, so I need to start thinking about how to escape.
Yeah, the escape would be significantly easier without losing so much health, because then you could afford to actually take a hit.
Yeah.
At this point, you can't afford to be hit at all.
So I don't know what your St. Louis's plan is here.
Yeah, the St. Louis is just gonna die.
That's okay.
honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe the St. Louis is looking out because the Montana's not really turning his. Now he's turning his guns. Well, maybe not. I can't actually tell if the Montana's turrets are turning.
No, he's pointing the other way.
So this is just free damage.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's an enemy cruiser push around from the north, but it's gonna take a while until we can do anything.
Yeah, that Kronstadt is going to be a problem.
Lobster can possibly out DPM him. The problem is just his low HP at the moment. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna take the fight with the Kronstadt.
You do have your San Luis helping you now. I can't actually see his health. Let me turn over and look at him. No, he's still full health. He got lucky that the battleships weren't looking.
Yeah, so at this point, I kind of realized that I think the Montana is going to push into C straight to that channel.
No, the
And
San
the
Luis.
Missouri's.
Yeah, and there's also the Missouri who's worryingly rushing south, so that's a problem.
Missouri's
So
quite low.
there, when you were firing AP at the Montana, I think you should have spammed some HE, because if you notice, the St. Louis was firing some torps, right? If maybe like you got lucky with fires and maybe you forced a DCB, you'd be flooding from a possible torpedo hit, right?
Yeah,
And the AP didn't really do that much damage for some reason, which
wasn't super successful. I think I was aiming a bit too low, maybe.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to rush the Missouri.
That's a bold choice there.
There's a little spit of land here I can use.
I mean,
Believe
if
in
his
yourself.
turrets are turned the other way, you could easily do it, but we have no idea of knowing where his turrets are, right?
I would
Well,
assume
it's still
it
the
would
best
turn.
course of action, because the other way is across that and the
Yeah.
Montana's.
So, to people who aren't super Unicums, you'll notice that I'm not going straight bow in here. I'm angling a bit so he doesn't.
I think you should have popped Hydra earlier. You could have got 2 salvos for free.
Yeah, I agree.
Alright.
And here I'm aiming straight at the bow because you can see that it's not damage saturated.
I'm surprised he didn't die there.
Yeah, you should have died there, honestly.
Yeah.
But whatever. You got him.
You did
So
it,
now you
so-
need to run into Montana.
I mean, you could have died, but you didn't, so moving on.
Yeah, it's
You're being raided by the Kronstadt, I
And
assume
plane
at
spotted.
least. And plane spotting.
Yeah, it's definitely the Kronstadt, and now it's planes. It would have been a lot easier if you had the FAA lobster. So you could have shot down that fighter plane.
Yeah, but I used the Hydra to spot the Missouri slightly earlier.
But you had radar.
But I don't want to waste it.
There's a cyclone, so you don't want to waste your radar, right?
Oh, here comes Cyclone, making things a lot more interesting.
Which is kind of useful for me because I'm trying to escape from all those battleships, though.
Yeah.
The Taiho can easily strike that Montana in one hit. You can just attack with dive bombers right now and then wait for his torpedo bombers to come up. But it doesn't look like he knows what he's doing, so.
Yeah, he's just sending all his planes over there. And the enemy carrier also apparently wants you, and his fighters are not paying attention. Oh, there we go. Lobster, you should be turning.
I did.
Those are AG bombs, so.
Yep.
Yeah, I got lucky there.
If that was an AP, that's like so good. Oh goody. Seems like backup is coming from the west at last.
Alright, here comes a Taiho strike, but it looks like it's auto-dropped.
I didn't even watch that, and I don't think I would have wanted to.
Yeah, it looks like he auto-dropped the strike into the mountain, so.
Oh my god.
How do you guys do that? Oh, you mean with the torpedo?
The torpedo bombers
Oh.
can be auto-dropped in the mountain.
That's quite embarrassing.
So here I'm using radar to get free damage.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, this specific scenario where, you know, he can radar in range and not be spotted within the 8 kilometers of the cyclone.
And yeah, maybe a bit too
Yeah,
low
he's
there.
slowing down, he's gonna start moving forward.
And this is why you should definitely have radar mod. If you have it, it should be on your Des Moines. 56 seconds of radar is awesome. Not so much for the destroyer, though.
I think you should have kept your guns in the Montana.
I agree. I would probably have finished him off.
I don't think there's enough
kill
radar
your ammo.
time to take off the Shimakaze unless you hit every single shell.
Yeah.
Try and finish off that Montana would probably, since he was your biggest threat.
Yeah, I think part of the reason I stopped shooting at the Montana was because I was pretty disappointed with how the AP was performing. It was aiming a bit too low.
David Lobster. Oh well, the Taiho got the Montana somehow.
Well, it looks like he got a drop in this time, so.
This didn't miss this time. Good stuff. Good stuff, good stuff.
I think you should stop chasing the Shimakaze, to be honest. Maybe, like, start moving
I'll probably
more.
have put myself on B, maybe to try and get a crossfire one of those cruisers combined with the Zao.
Yeah, like, I'd be somewhere near the F6 island, I believe. Like, just
Yeah,
park
that
there.
seems like a pretty good one. The Zao comes into the cap, starts capping, and you can get some angles of fire. Why are you chasing the Shimakaze? Goodness.
So I didn't want
Like
to take
the-
A.
The north group of ships isn't really doing anything. They need to rotate south.
Yeah, but
okay,
you know,
looks like they got
randoms
the
are unpredictable.
So that's
What
good.
do you do?
So you have a Zao rushing to Kronstadt, Des Moines. Okay.
That seems like a bold choice. A very, very bold choice. Oh, it was a bit too bold. Tragic. People trash talking about CVs, the usual.
Someone team
chat.
killing.
What? Oh my god.
Torpedoes to port.
Well, I'm just waiting because you did tell me that
Sure,
you were going to die, so I'm waiting patiently.
Shima's
Oh,
also.
Oh, chat's getting pretty interesting. Both carriers
Yep,
have
it's getting
sub
quite
50%
spicy.
win rate. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, our carrier just auto dropped into a mountain. That kind of
Yeah, but
already
their
tells me
carrier
why.
isn't doing anything at all either. so-
No.
You haven't seen his planes in a while.
He's got some fighters near the Kronstadt right now.
Oh, yeah, they're there.
But honestly,
Yeah, there's
both
that
carriers
lone
play pretty
battleship,
awful.
the lone Amagi over there that's probably going to die soon if their carrier does anything. Or not. He's not going for the Amagi?
The Taito could drop the Kronstadt right now. Easy.
Definitely.
Looks like he dropped the mountain again.
Alright. You guys should be pretty alright with that Kronstadt.
Time to hide behind the Yamato.
Yep. Angle yourself so the Kronstadt's AP doesn't screw you over.
He's not even paying attention to you.
Oh yeah.
No. I gotta say, Yamato is the best island waifu.
10 out of 10 would hide behind the Yamato again.
A little bit of team damage there.
Rookie numbers. Ooh, that's gonna hurt.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, can you turn your turrets fast enough to move around and kill the Shima? Come on.
Now the Shima's on an island.
So, I already know you got a Kraken, so did you kill the Shima or did you kill the CV? It's probably
Shima.
definitely the Shima.
Well, at least your carrier looks to be smart enough to actually move towards the sea cap to cap it, because there's nothing there.
Yep.
So, claps for your carrier. He did something, or knows to do something.
At least he's self-aware to that degree, I guess.
Yeah.
This is also one of the times where it is actually beneficial to be at Chad Des Moines, specifically
I am
this
going
instance.
to say that since we know that Lobster is going to die and he gets a Kraken, he's probably going to die to that Shima, and I'm waiting for that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be glorious.
With Hydro, too.
Oh my god, I'm
Oh
gonna
look,
lose.
Kataho found the Essex. Secondary battle.
Torpedoes, dead ahead. We've sunk an enemy destroyer. Torpedoes, direct front.
This is brutal.
Oh, this is beautiful. Yes.
You almost. You came close.
Rip.
The second torpedo.
I think that Shima was using F3s. Yeah, those are
Maybe.
F3s.
That's a good excuse. I'll stick with that one.
I
Yeah,
tried
those are
so
definitely
hard.
F3 torpedoes. So.
No, he still died. It's shame on him. Don't give him the excuse. He's gonna take it.
I like
And he's
excuses.
gonna run with it.
I guess, do we want to throw Clayton's Cleveland replay up? Or do we just want to move on to Des Moines and Clan battles? And if you guys want to analyze it, I know we ran a little bit longer than we wanted to, so if you guys want to analyze that, I'm all for it.
I want to see Ivan make fun of Clayton's Cleveland.
I knew it would come to this.
Wow, the carriers rammed each other. Incredible.
That is spectacular.
A very special game, wasn't it? Alright.
I'm loading up that replay. Give me 1 second.
Yep. Let me go watch my own replay. That's gonna be embarrassing. Oh my god.
Well, don't worry about it, Clan. Sure can't be that bad.
Yeah, I think, although I did get quite lucky in that game, I did showcase using AP on broadsides and how effective it is against even battleships.
Yeah, you did
Getting
quite
into it.
well. I mean, like, the only, like, big mistake... Well, the big mistake that I saw there was how close you were from dying to that Missouri, you know?
Yeah. I mean, mostly because I lost a lot of
One
time
of,
playing
one
way
of
too
the
aggressive.
great mistakes, you know, besides the whole, you should probably have turned away from that island thing.
No, that's the only mistake in that match. The Missouri duel came as a consequence of not turning.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
definitely your best choice.
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty
could
sure
have
this is
easily
that
died.
game. This is that game of mine.
Are you going to synchronize at 0 again?
Yeah, I'm at 0, and then give me 1 second to switch the stream over to the...
Oh my god, I am so fucking embarrassed. I don't want to do
I'm at
this.
0 too.
1, 2, 3, go.
Wait, I'm still
Alright,
doing
hold on.
nothing.
Never mind, pause. I accidentally hit it go, so I'm actually at 1953.
Alright, I'm gonna let it go until 1953.
Alright, are we good to go then, Clayton?
Yeah, do the countdown.
3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, 1953 and counting.
So
I'm embarrassed. No, don't watch my gameplay. Don't do this to me.
so I guess let's look up what you're facing. There's carriers again. Good. Obviously, as a pretty good carrier yourself, you go full AA spec on your ships, or close to it at least.
I mean, I have AFT and that's it on this thing.
Okay. Oh yeah, I guess you automatically get a defensive AA and hydro. I guess
Pretty
what
much,
I was kind
yeah.
of thinking that the light cruisers you get both.
Yep. Light cruisers, especially the Wooster, are going to get like pretty much def AA, radar, hydro, and heal
Yeah.
once you get to the tier 9 and 10. So you don't really have to sacrifice or trade anything. Well, started the game. I just, I already started on this lovely flank command, and I'm just like, look at that big island with all that extra space where I can shoot shells over. So I go there. It's a pretty normal spot for someone with good arcs to just sit there and take advantage of other people.
Repel air attack.
That's a good. Yeah.
There's not a whole lot to say. This is a really good spot.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is one of my favorite spots for
Yeah,
Des
it does
Moines,
depend on how
Utah.
much they focus on this flank, and I'm gonna tell you they're gonna focus it very hard. So I'm gonna have a lot of fun here.
The nice thing about where you
I
spawn,
believe this is also a. I don't know if this is a game with Cyclone, but maybe it is. I'm not sure. However,
I do want to add too. The spot was a little bit less tempting for me before when the cap arrangement wasn't in this like diamond formation. Before there'd almost always be a destroyer at B in the middle of the map there, and you could easily get spot, or there might be a ship going through in those rare cases. But now with this diamond formation, it's excellent. At least I think so.
yeah, the cap here is a lot more. You can see that I am not spotted at any time. I can angle myself quite well.
Are you scroll zooming, or is it just the replay?
I'm scroll zooming. That's what I
Nice
do.
scrolls.
Oh no!
Plane.
I'm gonna be so triggered now.
Sticky keys is something you can disable.
But I like doing it. I got used to it.
Why?
I like it like this. Why not?
Brazilians.
Can we give Plane a
Like,
special
what's
roll?
See the angle. It's so nice.
It actually lowers your DPM. Come on.
Yeah.
You can just hold
Oh.
right click to zoom out.
All right, Plane. This is worse than any mistake I've made.
Yeah, this is worse than playing carrier.
How are you Unicum doing this? Like how?
He's a really good shot. Just doesn't shoot very often.
Well, you also have to consider that the average player in this game is so bad that anyone with a brain can actually be Unicum. That's
You
how
hurt
bad
my
it
feelings.
is. It's actually true though.
But Plane doesn't even have a shift key.
I don't use shift. The scroll wheel is so much better. One.
Oh my god, I'm so irritated right now. What's worse? This
I have always if you're unhappy with this, I have always done this
God.
for all 9,000 matches.
How have
Well,
I
it's
never
probably
known this?
reflexive for a carrier because when you play carrier, you're zooming in and out,
Fair
Right.
enough.
so it feels right. But this is actually disgusting. Please don't play it.
So, to actually talk about some gameplay, like
All
I
right,
guess
all right. So what should I do?
Cleveland Cleveland in
15
general, your detection radius is just barely above your radar range. So
Yeah,
pretty
this new
much
Cleveland is absolutely disgusting.
it's a terror. Like if you're spotted, you pretty much can radar that destroyer.
Well, its concealment is so good. It has incredible DPM. It has, I'd say, pretty good HP pool, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, 30.
And its armor is, even though it doesn't really have bounce armor, like you really can't get Citadel unless you get extremely unlucky, I think.
It's
And
okay.
I'm
also-
enjoying this new Cleveland a lot.
To anyone watching the stream, I'm sure you're noticing how consistent Plane's damage is from IFHE.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, like right here, this is another example. Like you've picked an island spot, and watching the map, really you have no threats other than something maybe shooting you from D, which I don't think they can from that position. No, they can't. So
No,
you're
they can't.
pretty safe here as long as those battleships don't flake around like the 1-2 line, which they're not going to. The Musashi is running away. Your Fletcher's there spotting anybody. You have planes there spotting too, and also stopping any bombers from going that way, even though it's not really a direct threat to you.
I guess you probably start using the shift key now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you should. I don't know how we've let you like mentor people while doing that.
Is that one of the
Demoted.
top 10, one of the top 7 cardinal sins? Is that it?
I mean,
Top one.
what's worse, this or seeing a survivability expert carrier?
Good question.
You have to consider to see the answer.
I mean, at least survivability GK is worse than both, probably.
Yeah, I'd
No,
say.
carriers.
Fair enough.
Carriers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
survivability expert carrier is pretty bad.
But you gotta get the survival percent up. That's the most important stat.
Yeah, IFHE.
I mean, honestly, like, all I'm gonna say is that this at the start of this game, as you have noticed, it's kind of dull. You know, I just stay behind the island, and then
Yeah, but,
things
like-
finally start hitting up because we actually end up losing this game, unfortunately.
No, but the thing is, that Cleveland's like DPM is so disgusting for tier 8.
Yep.
Clay, I'm just
What,
a
6.5
little curious.
second reload?
What?
Oh,
6.5.
What is it, Lobster?
I'm just a little curious why you haven't radared A yet, since it was clearly destroyed there, and your team could have potentially interrupted it for a bit.
Yeah, good point.
Excellent question.
haha.
I have no idea. I think I was just too focused on damage padding.
I think I was too focused on the scroll zoom to realize that too.
Wow, really? Really, Grisky?
So a quick learning tip too for anybody watching, not actually on performance, but another like map thing. You can go on and put on last known position markers. That's really good. And then you can also add your radar range and hydro range on the minimap, and those are those like little dot
Yeah, you
lines.
can do that on the top right of your minimap on the little gear. Just click that by holding Control and then clicking on the little gear on the top right of your minimap, and by that you can adjust it.
It's super helpful, especially if you don't know
Yep.
exactly your range, to know. Oh, hey, I can radar the whole cap.
And there we go. I actually waited to try and shoot the Yalit, so yes,
Yep.
thank you, mate.
And now you're radaring and you're getting the Fletcher
You didn't
spotted.
even, you didn't even reach the Yalit.
Yeah, I don't think your team can even shoot the. Oh my god.
Great radar usage.
Your team can't even shoot the
I should have
Fletcher.
raided earlier. I know. I am ashamed.
Also, just for people watching this, if you ever have any questions about stats of your ship, like detection ranges particularly, just press H and you can see all sorts of stats on it. That also helps with AA DPS. You can check like
Doesn't-
how much of your AA you have left.
Yeah,
Yep.
because
How many secondaries you have
being-
left?
being shot by HE especially can destroy your AA mounts. And that's part of the reason what makes Conqueror so powerful is it can destroy ship's entire AA ability and just allows the carrier to just walk over them.
Well, I know that I'm triggering everyone over here just by
Uh-huh.
zooming in and out the entire time.
I think you need
It
to
looks
go
so
to
much
the-
worse when I'm watching it in the replay.
The replay always makes it look worse. Like, there's been times where I'm watching a replay and I ask them, "Are you guys scroll zooming? Or are you using shift to zoom?" And I could swear they're scroll zooming, but they're using shift.
No,
You're
this
aiming
is
too far to
pro-
the left.
this is pro zooming.
No, I know they kind of nerfed the where you used to be able to double tap the M key really quick to see it, but I still sometimes use it. I wonder if I can take control and do it. Nah, you can't really do it in a replay. I'll
I
still
think
kinda
quite
use
soon I'm gonna. Okay, I think quite soon I'm gonna start turning to the right, and I'm gonna see if I can go and help or destroy, try to cap this or contest it. Because my Hydra is already up. It's because I saw the
Alright.
destroyer was probably gonna try to
So-
torpedo one of my battleships.
To answer your question of is zooming in and out with scroll bad, it's bad in the sense that it wastes unnecessary time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just something
if you
that I've
press
been
shift,
using
you
for
can
so
lock
long,
it.
you know.
So, yeah.
All right,
Like, it wastes
I'll start
crucial
using
time,
the shift key
like
instead.
sometimes.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
No, it's good feedback
Fine.
to have because some people might actually do
Yeah,
that and
I
not know
just
about
like
shift.
I've always been accustomed to doing this, you know.
I've also
or
seen
whatever.
some
Alright,
people
rest
like
in peace, Fletcher.
yeah. This is where
Yeah,
the
he's
Cleveland
bad.
just
He's bad.
destroys TDs. If I'm ever in a destroyer and I see like a Cleveland or Atlanta, it's just I instantly knew I screwed up and I'm pretty much dead.
This is the time I believe when I don't think my battleships are gonna help me, but I think I'm gonna get a very nice. I'm gonna have a very nice engagement against this Fredrik the Grosse from very up close. And I realized that our destroyer was not gonna help. If that's a destroyer next to our battleship up north, yep, it's a destroyer. Battleship just died. So I'm just gonna start capping myself because our team is losing. Yeah. So I decided to. I was able to find a destroyer. I killed it, and since A was clear, I moved in.
Check out your carrier's map awareness. Unspotted destroyer near it.
Yeah,
still
he gets
sailing towards
sniped.
it.
He gets sniped. I know.
Just Lexington.
Yeah. I was watching that a bit, and I was just like, okay, he's dead. So I just focused on
Well,
it.
you do realize that something that all Lexington players have to do is completely act like brainless idiots and be oblivious to the map for the whole time.
The Lexington
Don't
is
worry,
quite
guys.
infamous, I'll tell you that.
Don't worry, guys. It's because the Lexington is weak, not because the players are bad. The ship is making me act like a dumbass. What do?
I won't make any jokes because I'm probably the worst CV player ever. So, but yeah,
I mean, you're still Unicum in the Saipan because it's the Saipan. But
I'm not Unicum in the Saipan. I played it twice because Lobster made me. I bought it to before. I never, really. I was gonna play it except for learning how to play carriers and co-op and stuff like that. It was gonna be. You told me it's a decent teaching carrier.
All right. I noticed that. Yeah, it is a teaching carrier, but I noticed that I wouldn't be able to fire over this Freddy too much longer, so I got close to the island, so I wouldn't face him under my own circumstances. I believe. Yeah, that's what I think. Either I'm gonna finish off this Kronstadt, or I'm gonna kill the Freddy. I think I'll go for the Freddy first.
Your secondaries can get him.
Yep.
I think you should have kept firing at the Friedrich. Why not?
Yeah, I don't think at that point I was just a bit worried about the Kronstadt pushing me, and I didn't even know if he could fire
there goes Lexington.
over the island.
Nice.
Also, the Kronstadt was very low health.
Yeah. Well, here's me and the Freddy. Right now, I'm just seeing if I can. Yeah, he had a really bad shot over there.
Oh boy, football prophet. That guy was really stupid and ranked. Very nice.
You saw him there?
Yeah. He complained about bad teams in his republic, but then he suicided into 4 enemies.
Yeah, I just
when we were
started
winning
shooting at the
match.
enemy's bow because I know I can get full pens on the bow of the ship itself. I finish it off.
Right.
And then I turn my attention to the Kronstadt so I don't get outflanked. Because I know the Leon and the Kronstadt are
Alright.
both probably coming over to A, and I want
use
to
of
at least
AP
kill one of
when
them.
it's proper. Very nice.
At that close range, your AP is surprisingly good.
The Friedrich
especially
complains about a cruiser beating him at close range. Lamau. Balanced.
I
he says
didn't
in
even
chat.
see that actually.
Yeah, he did.
It's the small things in life.
That's another thing that.
I load AP because the Kronstadt is broadside and pretty close. And I was
That's
like,
a good thing to point out though is damage saturation. I always try to aim for areas that aren't damage saturated to do more damage. A lot of players don't, even know about that.
Just look for the sections that are not
I'm
discolored.
pretty sure that Cleveland doesn't have enough AP pen to sit at other Kronstadt at that range, but you can hit his upper
but
belt
I can
for
get full
damage,
penetration damage, so I just
Yeah.
went for that.
so that's fine.
So almost 200k so far.
Indeed.
It's all
And now
right.
you're gonna see the most clueless the lion that I've seen in my whole life. It's just gonna take a bit. Oh yeah, they have an AFK Amagi, so that doesn't really help.
Alright, Clayne, you made someone get motion sickness from watching your replay. Very nice.
I am sorry, Ivan.
Oh my god.
Don't worry, it'll get worse.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
Seriously, Clint, I thought you were a good player.
Now we know the truth.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, there was a guy from FML on the enemy team. That was the crunch that I just killed.
I guess you do get
Okay,
plus
so
10
you
points for
noticed in
that.
chat that your carrier just died. Very nice.
Yes. I wasn't really
Nice
paying
map
attention.
awareness.
Yeah.
You need the awareness. If you want to play American Cruisers very well, you need to be aware of the map at all times. You can't just be like, oh, someone died. And like minutes after they die, you have to realize that once they immediately die, you'd be like, oh, they're dead.
Fair enough.
Why'd you turn Bao in here? He wasn't even pointing at his guns. You just wasted a salvo.
I'm sorry. Okay. I don't. I don't even know
Only
what I
need to
did.
angle once you start getting shot at. Well, once he starts pointing at you, you know?
Yeah.
Like now would be a good time to angle.
My God, I.
It's
Yeah,
a good thing
there,
about
see?
having Ivan here is he'll tell you everything what you're doing wrong, which is good.
I
though.
know,
Oh,
but it hurts
also,
my feelings.
also, pro tip for everyone watching: when you get into close quarters fights like this, if you want to aim farther down, zoom out to like about here.
This is where scroll
Okay,
zooming
that's an
would be
error.
okay.
Enemy back.
You
Okay,
shot at
I-
his turret face with HE. You should have shot at his bow.
Yeah, he's also totally unsaturated right now.
Alright, nice.
You just got a compliment in chat too.
I don't hear that a lot.
Some of the best cruiser driving I have seen in a long time.
Pity he couldn't see
Wow,
that
that guy's actually giving you a compliment? Most of the
Yeah.
time he's just raging like a baby.
Yeah, right now I don't know if I could have done something better because I was thinking I need to get to a cap as soon as possible because we're losing by points. But at this moment,
no,
maybe if I
your
got
only
closer
play
to,
is to go for C. Like that's the only play. There's nothing else.
yeah,
to do.
because this Musashi's gonna die right now to the enemy carrier, and I was
I
like,
guess so.
maybe if I went over there trying to give him AA support, maybe we could have won this. But I
Maybe.
didn't really.
No, you're not fast enough. And the Lexington's right there, so you can keep cycling and hitting the like Musashi.
And also maybe pray that you can roadkill the Amagi.
Yeah.
Anti-aircraft.
Yeah, I don't know why the Lexington didn't use his torpedo bomber to go hit the Musashi.
Put him-
Or is he just
yeah.
gonna let his dive bomber do it?
Looks like the
Where's your
Amagi's
defensive?
AFK.
Clayton,
No,
where's
the
your
Amagi's
defensive?
AFK.
Clayton, why'd you pop defensive so late? This probably got you killed, didn't it?
No, I didn't die
Nice.
this game.
Okay.
I mostly popped his late because I was hoping that he would commit to the kill and not for the Musashi.
No, you should have popped it earlier,
The enemy is
even
about
then.
to win.
Because he got dangerously close and actually dropped. And if you draw better, he could have killed you with one torpedo.
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on normal.
You have a good
But
point.
you know, Lexington player will now.
I wasn't really taking it too seriously, but that's probably a bad thing on its own.
So, let me question, why'd you have AP loaded if the only targets left were a battleship and carrier?
I think I just forgot to switch from HA.
Yeah, I know, but like, you wasted a salvo.
I forgot! I have bad memory! What do you want me to say?
You should have enough bad memory. Oh, Clayton, stop angling.
Yeah, why are you angling? Like, the
He's
battleship is
angling towards the
AFK,
planes, I
and there's a
think.
carrier.
They're fighters.
No, there's dive bomber. Yeah, dive bombers coming at him.
Oh, now.
Yeah,
he started
but, like,
angling way before he spotted those.
Oh yeah, from what I remember, I wasn't really angling specifically, I was just trying to head towards the east side, but yeah.
Not enough time. Why are you shooting ahead of him if he's AFK?
I just missed my shots.
Dude, you shot like a kilometer ahead of him. What are you doing?
Oh my god!
He was stationary.
You missed 2 salvos on a stationary target. What are you doing?
So you could have switched
Oh
to
my
bring
God.
your rear guns on target sooner too.
You're like my old Portuguese teacher that's 76 years old. I swear to god.
You're never doing it right, Klein.
I don't know what you want me to do, Dad.
That's actually a good point. The Fletcher probably fucked this matchup by going to D instead of, going to C instead of going to D.
Yeah, could have stopped the points.
I mean, the game's going to be over as well, so.
Yep, the game's over.
But even then, the only reason like I pick on you for this is because there isn't really anything else to do, you know?
Besides cruiser me.
Yeah. I guess
I will use shift. I will use shift so I don't give people motion
Please
sickness.
do. Please do. The last thing on our list to talk about is specifically Des Moines and clan battles. I know a lot of people ask about that too. And again, I mean, we can't really comment on what our experience with Worcester and clan battles because it's not out yet. I mean, on paper, it seems maybe you guys will disagree with me, but it doesn't seem like it's going to work for a lot of teams or most teams. It's essentially a Minotaur without smoke but with HE instead. So I guess at least to Des Moines, I believe it'll still be the more prominent cruiser of the two in clan battles. Are you still laughing about your scroll zoom, Clang?
No, I don't. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. My God, every single little thing. God damn it. Besides cruiser me. I should probably stop that.
But yeah, I guess the primary role of at least how we in Adopt play Des Moines, and Ivan, you can comment on what ZR does. We kind of use it as primarily a radar ship, and then as Ivan said, sort of like an anchor, where it's kind of on the defensive, and their job is to hold the cap, and I don't know, try to punish any destroyers if they can poke around without getting focused down too much. And the same rules apply to where you have to have hyper map awareness. It's a little bit easier in clan battles because there's less ships, but also they're coordinated ships too, so they could see you there and say, hey, this person move over here to counter that. But it's still really hard to dig out a Des Moines that's hid behind an island. I guess I don't know. Kaiser's not here anymore. He was our primary Des Moines player. I was gonna have him talk about that a little bit. I played there with the Des Moines in season 1. I know my primary role was a radar ship, and that's kind of about it. Very important to coordinate that radar too with your teammates, just so that way you're not wasting it using it too early or when your team doesn't have shots on the target. And the destroyers tend to kind of go to the same spots and islands. And you want to try to position the rest of your team around there, so the Des Moines pops its radar, you have more than one ship able to shoot that destroyer, and even to shoot it from multiple angles depending on what island that destroyer is behind. They could just move back a little bit and not be shot, so you kind of want two angles on that, so if the destroyer backs up, they're being shot by this ship, and then if they move forward, they're being shot by another ship. That's at least generally how we play with the Des Moines. And I know I was hoping Kaiser could talk a little bit about it, but knowing when Des Moines should actually push into a cap and maybe cap, and when to just hold off and even retreat is a lot of things you have to do with experience, and your shot caller will hopefully be aware of it. But sometimes the shot caller's got a lot on their mind and a lot they're focusing on. So just kind of the Des Moines player has to know what needs to be done. I know there's plenty of times where Kaiser moving into a cap as a Des Moines won us the game because he saw that, hey, there's just a Hindenburg. I can take that in a one-on-one battle, and the Hindenburg's not going to be able to stop me. I can move into the cap and at the very least deny the enemy from gaining points. I don't know if anybody else has much else they want to add to that.
I guess in Clan Wars in general, the biggest challenge, I guess, is staying alive, usually. So you have to sometimes pull back a little bit on the aggression that you could show, or a lot on the aggression that you can show in random battles. Also, fights tend to take place at longer range than they would in randoms, because people are better shots. So that can be a bit of a disadvantage for DPM mod Des Moines, but usually clever positioning will offset that.
Yeah, if you position good, you can force them to fight at closer ranges than they want to.
Oh, also, as far as ships in Clan Wars, Des Moines can heavily utilize smoke screens because they've got a fairly short smoke firing detection. As long as there's not radar everywhere.
Yeah. That's the thing about clan battles is there's usually radar somewhere. And if not, smoke firing is pretty good, especially if you're at a higher level. Most higher level teams can smoke fire pretty decently. And I guess too, the one thing, at least when we're teaching new people to playing clan battles, is I'll see a lot of people, pop in Des Moines, they'll hide behind a cap, and most often I see is mountain range. They'll go to the sea cap, and I'm actually going to try to quickly pull up a Wallace Tactics room on that, just to kind of show what I'm talking about. See a lot of people move in or they try to turn out. Somebody's moving it. Mountain range. There's mountain range. So, oops. I'm going to edit this up real quick. Let me move the stream there. So, let me delete all this stuff that's not really useful anymore. A mountain range and islands of ice are the two I see this here most. Is the Des Moines will park up, say like right here, and the cap is, I'm just gonna pop this. Oh, wrong one. Say the cap's right here. I know that's not exactly the size of the cap and everything, but I guess just for demonstration purposes, we'll use that. The Des Moines will park here when they're on the southern spawn, and then when they're on the northern spawn, the Des Moines might park here, or even here. And we've occasionally seen a Des Moines park down here too. They'll kind of get impatient, and generally the Des Moines will kind of angle in on the northern part like this. They'll get impatient, move in to try to get a destroyer. The destroyer will typically park, right down here, or then on the other island right here. Sometimes they'll get impatient and want to go kill the destroyer, and then that Des Moines will move out and go from here, move out to here. And instantly, sure, that team may lose their destroyer, but there's always going to be ships that'll instantly take you out, whether they just whittle you down with HE or the battleship is able to take a huge chunk. Being patient and just kind of using your radar and knowing when to move in. If there's two ships against one, kind of what Ivan was talking about, forcing them to go into a close range. If the enemy's kind of separated like this, I'll even see where a team will put a Hindenburg all the way up here, and that way they're going to win the long range fight most of the time. And as long as they have somebody spotting for them. Once a Des Moines commits to a cap, its acceleration is not too good, its acceleration is not too great either. It's pretty much just stuck there dead in the water for the most part. In best case scenario, you're going to take a lot of damage and then get out of the cap, but most of the time you won't get out of the cap. So I guess that's just kind of one thing I wanted to touch upon for clan battles too, and then I'm done. So I think overall, and if you guys don't have anything to add about U.S. cruisers in general, we could just quickly talk about the light cruiser line, which we've already, I think, said most of it. Worcester in clan battles, I don't think most teams are going to use it. I have heard of like teams using a Minotaur quite effectively. You have to be, I at least feel like your team's strategy has to be made around that ship alone. And it can definitely work with the right players and the right team coordination, but I think overall, like, it's not the best choice, at least for especially like just an average skill team.
You really need a really good player in the Minotaur.
Yeah, I've only seen like really high level teams pull it off effectively. Otherwise, if it's not like a high level team, I see a Minotaur in clan battles, we all just kind of like joke that it's a free kill, because best case scenario, the Minotaur, if it's running smoke, it'll smoke up and a destroyer will spot for it, and they'll kind of just shower AP shells on you. And most of the time, as long as you didn't overly commit, you could just turn around and get out of that and go unspotted, or go out of the Minotaur's range and force the Minotaur to move out of its smoke if it is a smoke Minotaur. Otherwise, if it's a radar Minotaur, which is the most common, it'll just still have to hide behind an island, and you can easily bait it out of that, or it'll just sit there and be useless. And I think Worcester, at least on paper, the armor, I don't remember all the specs on it, but the armor wasn't that great. It doesn't have the British zombie heal, and it doesn't have the option for smoke, which again, most teams that did use Minotaur didn't use smoke Minotaur. So I guess it might be slightly better than Minotaur that way, where you can at least use HE to start a bunch of fires, but I don't know, I don't think it'll be a primary meta ship. And then I guess like the whole light cruiser line in general, we talked about our Cleveland captains and our Atlanta captains, and they'll vary among ship to ship. But standard, priority target, adrenaline rush, and then demolition expert concealment and IFHE for your first points. You kind of need a 14-point captain for them, and then after that you can go superintendent for tier 9, and below you don't really need superintendent as much. So that's kind of like at least my general thoughts on it. Anybody else have anything they want to add for that? And if not, we'll close up.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say on that.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for joining, Ivan. Appreciate it. And yeah, thanks, you guys. Anybody else have any quick last-minute questions they want to ask in chat before we all sign off? Not seeing much, so I think I saw some questions about Yu Yang and gearing. Yeah, meta destroyers, Yu Yang and gearing. Seems like Yu Yang might be sort of usurping it with the radar, but then again, with the radar module being nerfed, maybe that'll change a little bit, because the Yu Yang's radar duration with the module is only what, like, I forget the exact
24.
amount. Yeah, it's
No, with the nerfed one.
Oh yeah, hold on. That reminds me. The Des Moines and clan battle thing. I actually have a little funny video from this previous season where, like, I was just sitting with my Des Moines anchored in a spot, and one of their teams just like the enemy team rushed me, and I turned a 4v1 to 4 kills and only me dying.
Yeah, if you got a link, send it to me.
Yeah, hold on, let me find it. Be careful. I did put some ear rape in it because it's stupid.
I'll mute it before playing it, I think.
No, it's better with the ear rape, to be honest.
Okay. Alright, you started playing on the wrong monitor instantly. Good job.
Gotta plug my own YouTube, right?
It's in our training room training stream chat. So anybody
gotta
wants to
plug
watch
it.
along too.
I love the stream comments. Got such motion sickness watching this. 10 out of 10.
And we all did claim.
I hate all of you.
I've screenshotted it. You can't delete that message, I hope.
I can. Damn it, I must. Ah! What? No, I did what? No!
No, doesn't matter. I have the picture saved. I'll post it every so often.
This is great.
No, it's not. Damn it. Okay. Oh my god, what am I watching?
Also, for the people watching, it's worth knowing that this is OPG, not pushovers.
$107k damage in clan battles is no joke.
The more important thing is that their push got completely ruined and they lost the match instantly because of this.
Just for you being in the right place at the right time.
No, they pushed into me at a bad time. And
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, okay. OBS just went crazy on itself. Yeah, anyways, you guys got anything else before we call it quits?
Nothing. I'm just disappointed with myself. Usual.
Someone was asking if the Shimikaze is not good at all.
Again,
I guess it's not technically the worst ship. I'd probably say Khabarovsk is less useful, and yeah, basically Khabarovsk. But the guns are just so terrible that if it ever does have to fight another destroyer, it just loses.
Which team was it that used it? Was it Cuter that used
We
it?
used it.
Shimakaze honestly doesn't bring enough worth from his torpedoes to justify the loss of utility.
Also, everyone runs Hydro and Clan Wars as well, so torpedoes
No,
are
it's
just...
not that. It's more that the Shimakaze would usually run 20-kilometer torpedoes as area denial, but still, that isn't going to stop determined teams. So,
But I mean,
yeah.
Tom's asking, are we talking clan battles or randoms? Or I guess, Tom, are you talking about Shima for Shima in general for randoms or clan battles? Because it's two very different play styles.
Yeah, in randoms, you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Random.
I play Shimakaze in randoms, and however that's worth, I'm Unicum in the Shima, and it's a pretty fun ship to play in randoms. Not very fun to play in competitive, but it's very fun to play in randoms.
Okay, yeah, just you can do whatever you want in pubs.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, cool.
You
Then
can smoke meth and play the Habarovsk, and you do well in pubs.
Smoke battleships. Or burn battleships.
Fair enough. Same thing. Meth, battleships. They're both just as good.
Well, cool guys. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thank you guys for joining. And if you guys liked it, let me know, and we'll try to do more of these. And go check out Ivan's videos too.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.